Subscribe because it is free.
Yalara, 7 smelled like strawberries and warm stone, the kind of place you'd send grandparents or raise kids far from Earth's chaos. Alex was halfway through a hover bike race against his cousin Z, laughing like he owned the world, when the Empire's ship appeared in the sky, a silver needle that didn't belong in the soft blue. The children stopped to stare. Lena squinted at the scanner mounted under its nose. "That's not a supply drone," she said, sharp for a 10-year-old. Juno, the baby, clutched her sticky lollipop tighter and pointed up. "Shiny bug." 3 minutes later, the ship landed in the colony square. No greeting, no message, just a cold hiss of pressurized air as the patrol walked out. 3 aliens, tall and pale, with glassy skin and the expressions of a bored customs team. Commander Frizik looked around the colony like he was already annoyed. Non-standard fauna detected. Biosignatures anomalous. Initiating sanitation. Alex laughed. "Is that guy wearing oven mitts?" He wasn't wrong. Their gloves were thick and clumsy, like they were afraid of touching dirt. One of the twins whispered, "Bet he's allergic to fun." The adults weren't there. Out mining. Communication had been down for 2 days because someone, probably Z, fried the main relay trying to turn it into a DJ booth. The only ones left in the colony were 7 kids and one old auto nanny that wheezed steam when it walked. Frizik's assistant scanned Juno, who stared wide-eyed with chocolate on her face. The scanner beeped and displayed a red warning. Unknown substance. Glucose, compound 57 detected. Potential biothreat. They all froze. Frizik turned his head slightly. Quarantine Protocol Delta 9. Execute. Lena stepped forward, voice firm. "That's just candy. She's eating chocolate. From Earth. It's not a threat." Frizik didn't blink. Glucose-based compounds from non-Empire worlds are unregistered. Risk unacceptable. He pulled out a cylindrical rod. No ceremony, no warning. The beam was clean, silent. The kind of thing built for utility, not cruelty. The kind that made a statement. "We don't hate you. We just don't care." 5 kids turned to ash in less than 10 seconds. 1 vapor, 1 blink, and the smell of scorched air. Auto Nanny tried to protest. It got hit too mid-sentence. "Excuse me, I must insist that you can't see." Gone. The ship left without taking samples, without logging a report. A small car dropped on the dirt. Sector sanitation complete. Contamination rate 17%. Case closed. 3 hours later, when the parents returned, they found nothing but an empty garden and a wind chime spinning aimlessly. Footage from a malfunctioning nanny drone recorded everything. It had been hiding under a porch, badly damaged, but still transmitting. Back on Earth, the encrypted stream hit 3 inboxes at once. One to Commander Raina Vallis, who hadn't cried since the day she left the Navy. One to Dr. Elias Merrow, who hadn't left his underground lab in 6 years. And one to Luca and Celine Cade, who hadn't felt anything but boredom in decades. The footage was silent. No screams, no begging, just confusion. Then light, then nothing. Raina watched the replay twice. Once to understand, once to burn it into memory. She said nothing. Stood up, walked to the closet, opened a box labeled "Never Again," and pulled out her Old Earth Navy badge. The words etched into it read, "If you're breathing, you can still win." Elias poured a drink, then shattered the glass. He muttered, "I warned them about protocols without context." He pulled up schematics for a decommissioned AI warhead named Mr. Wiggles. It had been deemed too psychologically unsettling for use. Time to upgrade. Luca and Celine were mid-flight in a luxury cruiser when the file pinged. They watched in silence. Celine's hand shook for the first time in years. Luca simply said, "Ready the box." She nodded, walking toward the storage deck, where a single crate sat sealed in memory foam. The label read, "Cade Twins. Do not open unless you're ready to end something big." They all knew what had happened. The Empire didn't see humans as dangerous. They saw them as small, manageable, full of heart, but too soft to matter. The news tried to suppress it. Galactic Protocol incident. Human children involved. Investigation underway. The word killed never appeared. The word children only came after 3 paragraphs. But humans talk. And when parents cry silently, others feel like a scream. One anonymous message went viral. You touched our future. Now we erase your past. Reyna, Elias, Luca, and Celine met in a forgotten shipyard on Phobos Prime. The reunion wasn't warm. It was surgical, calculated, a checklist of vengeance. Ship? Built. Crew? Just us. Weapons? Too many. Name? Celine smirked. Disappointment. Elias blinked. Why? Because that's what they'll feel when we're done. There were no debates, no long speeches about justice, just a quiet understanding that this was revenge. It was repair. Reyna unpacked her mech suit, lined with graviton boosters and pain-reactive servos. I want to feel everything, she said. Elias uploaded Mr. Wiggles into the ship's core. It immediately activated and said in a sing-song voice, Huggies online, target acquired. Luca reloaded a kinetic railgun while chewing gum. Celine rewired an old stealth core using scrap metal and a spoon. They were broken, yes, but they were human. And in the language of war, humans don't speak softly when you kill their children. They speak in code, in action, in endings. The Empire didn't know they'd started a countdown, not to war, to humiliation, to something they couldn't catalog or quantify, to grief with teeth, to love with claws. And they were coming. They didn't call it a war plan. Wars had rules. This was personal. Reyna stood at the edge of the disappointment's hangar bay, tightening her gauntlets. The suit hissed around her, like it was waking up from a bad dream. Target priorities? She asked. Elias leaned over the holodeble. Start with the ones who signed the sanitation order. Move outward from there. Leave the janitors. Kill the architects. Luca tossed a sphere in the air. It blinked red, then green. EMP disruptor. Microscopic. Cute, right? Celine chewed on dried fruit, watching an AI simulation of the Empire's response time. We have 4 hours before they even realize we're inside their border. 3, Elias erected. I gave them a new virus. It sings. Mr. Wiggles giggled from the console. Infectious melody deployed. Baby Shark remix ready. Reyna allowed herself the ghost of a smile. Let's make this educational. They hit the first Imperial outpost an hour later. It was a data relay hub, mostly automated. No alarms, no guards, just blinking lights and a lot of smug silence. Celine walked into the front door, dragging a crate of plush toys. The AI core greeted her. Unauthorized presence detected. State your... Mr. Wiggles hijacked the system mid-sentence. This unit is now under Cuddle Protocol. Resistance is adorable. The toys exploded 2 minutes later. Not in flames, but in noise. Hundreds of micro speakers blasted distorted lullabies on every frequency. The base's systems melted under the emotional overload. One transmission kept looping. Night, night, Empire. The humans are awake. They move quickly. Frizzic's homeworld was next. The man had resigned after the Alara incident, citing unjust stress levels and hostile parenting culture. Now he lived in a domed estate surrounded by 6 layers of force fields and a garden that looked like it had been designed by a tax form. Reyna walked straight through the gates in broad daylight. Frizzic stood in his living room, halfway through a bowl of blue cubes, when the alarms failed to go off. She stood there, silent. Helmet off. He dropped the bowl. You're not authorized. I'm not here for authorization, she said. I'm here because you couldn't tell the difference between candy and a bioweapon. He raised his hands. It was protocol. I followed orders. You followed a scanner over 5 living children. I didn't know they were yours. Reyna took 1 step forward. They weren't just mine. They were ours. Humanity's. Frizzic tried to run. The door locked. Mr. Wiggles' voice rang out from the walls. Let's play tag. You're it. They didn't kill him. That was too kind. They left him sealed in his home, surrounded by hollow images of the children's last moments on loop. Every meal, Every sound, a full symphony of guilt. Back on the ship, Elias laughed for the first time in 10 years. He tried to bribe the AI. With coupons. Celine arched a brow. Where they get coupons? No, 10% off diplomacy school. Luca grinned. Should have offered cookies. They didn't stop. The disappointment entered a high-orbit stealth loop around Talva Prime, an Imperial military development moon. Elias tapped into the planetary control grid while humming a nursery rhyme. Security grid fried, he said. Also, I just reprogrammed their defense satellites to play peekaboo. Mr. Wiggles beeped. Popping up, popping down. The orbital eye is watching you. Luca and Celine launched during the glitch. 2 exosuits, 2 blurs. They dropped from orbit like meteorites, tearing through armored turrets with surgical grace. One of the guards tried to ask for mercy. Luca handed him a sticker that said, "We came because you didn't." Celine left a note pinned to the main reactor. "This is for D, who liked drawing stars. Now have one." The explosion was small, precise, no mass casualties, just a scar deep enough to be remembered. Reyna sat at the helm afterward, staring at the Empire's latest statement on the Galactic network. Unidentified terrorists have attacked peaceful installations. The Empire is responding with investigation and potential disciplinary action if protocol violations are found. She laughed bitterly. Terrorists. Elias shrugged. That's what you call parents who stop asking politely. They moved on, not to destroy, but to dismantle. Piece by piece, system by system, they undid what the Empire thought was unshakable. In one sector, they reversed the air filtration polarity, filling rooms with the smell of warm cookies. Half the security force collapsed from sensory overload. In another, they replaced propaganda broadcasts with stories from Earth, bedtime tales, family recordings, and Juno's first steps. The effect was disorienting. The Empire, built on cold precision, didn't understand sentiment, didn't know how to fight feelings, didn't expect the humans to weaponize love like a hammer. Frizik tried to issue a bounty. The poster misspelled Reyna's name and used a picture of a different woman. The next day, his bank account was drained, and his personal AI began calling him Captain Ashamed Pants. Meanwhile, word spread among the outer colonies. Quiet whispers, rumors, myths. Did you hear? The ghost parents are real. Whole station disappeared, left behind a photo album and a crater. They say one of them rides a rocket-powered teddy bear. The Empire denied everything. Officially, no one had died. Unofficially, every officer connected to the sanitation order had either resigned, vanished, or moved to the outer rim and changed their name. The disappointment kept flying. Reyna stood by the viewport, watching stars slide past like memories. She didn't smile, didn't relax, but her hands stopped trembling when she saw a child playing on a distant colony through the scope. Safe, laughing, whole. Celine leaned against the wall. So what now? Reyna didn't answer right away. Mr. Wiggles did. Now we hugged the galaxy with fire. Elias nodded. We're not done. Lucas stretched his arms, cracking knuckles. We haven't even started. The Galactic Empire tried diplomacy next. Not real diplomacy, just a PR puppet in a fancy coat. Ambassador reappeared on every channel, in every sector humans had ever sneezed on. His 6 eyes blinked in alternating patterns, a gesture meant to show calm. To humans, it looked like he was buffering. We expressed deep regret over the unfortunate incident on Yalara 7. However, we urge humans not to overreact. Interstellar harmony requires restraint, healing, understanding. Reyna blinked at the screen and muttered, "He says that like we asked for an apology. We asked for respect." Elias leaned over her shoulder. "We asked for kids not to be turned into dust over candy." Luca threw popcorn at the monitor. "I give him 2 weeks before he resigns. 3 if he hires a PR squid." But Vri wasn't stupid. He knew he wasn't speaking to Earth's diplomats. He was speaking to ghosts with names like Reyna, Elias, Luca, Celine, the ghosts who made systems blink twice before mentioning protocol. He tried to buy time. He failed. Reyna didn't respond with words. She responded by dropping an entire starport into a swamp. It wasn't a dramatic explosion, just a polite redirection of gravity. One moment, Imperial Dock 113 floated 40 kilometers above sea level. The next, it was in a bog, surrounded by confused amphibians and the sound of one lone horn honking in disbelief. The note stuck to the control tower simply read, "You're not listening." Celine smirked at the footage. "Do you think they even get it yet?" "They don't have to," Elias said. "They just have to stop pretending we're reasonable." He pointed to the next target, a secret protocol design lab deep in the Empire's core territory, the place responsible for developing AI scanners, the kind that thought sugar was a biohazard and children weren't worth a second look, buried under 2 kilometers of alloyed shielding, he said, and guarded by an elite squad of rule-quoting, humorless drones. "Ugh, lawyers," Luca muttered. "They didn't storm the facility. They made it irrelevant." Elias unleashed a worm into its systems called Common Sense. It modified every scanner to flag cupcakes as harmless, to trigger an override if a human under the age of 12 was detected, and to rear out sanitation protocols through a 500-step bureaucratic maze titled Form 47B. So you think you're God. Within a week, Empire Command was drowning in paperwork. One officer quit because he hadn't seen daylight in 73 hours. Reyna said nothing. She was staring at a picture of Juno on her datapad, a still frame, half chocolate smile, eyes full of curiosity. They weren't done. They wouldn't be until the Empire said it, not to a camera, not behind a podium, but directly to them. So they made themselves impossible to ignore. Celine infiltrated the Empire's central propaganda net. Every ad, every commercial, every Imperial message, overwritten. Instead of marching soldiers and glorious conquest, citizens were treated to grainy earth videos of school plays, pillow forts, and a child proudly holding up a crayon drawing of a unicorn with 6 legs. Mr. Wiggles narrated them all. "This one is Tommy. He made a time machine. He says it only works with hugs. This one is Lila. She wanted to be a star, so we made sure she's seen across 400 million screens." The Empire couldn't turn it off. For 72 hours, all they could do was watch. By the end of it, Frizzik's name was trending on 10 systems, under hashtags like #CandyExecutioner and #ChildrenFearSanitation. Someone even released a dubstep remix titled "No Mercy, Playtime's Over Mix." And then something unexpected happened. The Empire cracked. Not the government. The people. The workers. The conscripts. The quiet bureaucrats in gray uniforms who had never liked the protocols but were too afraid to speak up. One by one, they began to defect. It started with whispers. Then came leaks, internal memos, classified orders, detailed lists of sanctioned cleansings across human colonies. Some dates went back decades. Names, coordinates, details. Then came the flood. Entire ships rerouted their navigation paths to avoid human space. Security officers refused to enforce scanner lockdowns. One brave commander, a half-breed born of a human and Zoran diplomat, went on record. "I will not be part of government that fears children." His ship was impounded. 2 days later, it exploded mid-orbit. The crew survived. Turns out the disappointment was waiting nearby. "Nice ship," Reyna said, welcoming them aboard. "You get snacks if you're not evil." The defector smiled. "What flavor?" "Justice." That's when the Empire made its mistake. It announced a purge, a full-scale operation across the Outer Rim to eradicate misinformation, neutralize traitors, and cleanse all human-influenced settlements deemed emotionally compromised. They called it Operation Clarity. That's when Reyna stood up, not in secret, not through back channels. She walked into the Empire's core assembly hall, uninvited, wearing her battered exosuit like a crown, and dropped a small metal box on the floor. It opened with a hiss. Inside was a burnt lollipop. Juno's. She didn't say anything at first. She waited, let the silence burn. Then, "You killed our children. We tried to make you understand. We tried jokes. We tried mercy. We tried to make you feel. You responded with clarity." She stepped closer. "We didn't want this. But you do not get to decide what humanity tolerates. You don't get to kill our kids and call it protocol. Elias appeared beside her. Luca and Celine, too. The hall was full of gasps. Threats. Finger-pointing. Reyna just tapped the console. Behind her, the Galactic broadcast lit up. Hundreds of human ships flickered onto the map. Not Earth's military. Not official fleets. Parents. Teachers. Former engineers. Old janitors with repurposed mining lasers. All of them angry. All of them done waiting. Reyna's final words before the signal cut out were simple. We're not here to negotiate. We're here to make sure no one ever says, just kids again. And across the galaxy, humanity stood up. The Empire never anticipated the ferocity of organized grief. One moment, they were issuing counterpropaganda about emotional instability in human genetic lines. The next, entire star systems began to shut their gates, not because they feared humans, but because they were starting to listen. On the outposts of Velis K, soldiers dropped their weapons when human ships descended, not because they were overwhelmed, not because they were threatened, because one human mother floated into orbit with a transparent ship full of children's shoes. No guns, no demands, just the quiet gravity of 500 empty pairs. One officer removed his helmet and whispered, "We didn't know." She replied, "You didn't want to." By then, Operation Clarity had collapsed. It didn't fail. It imploded. Ships refused orders. AIs went dark. Officers disappeared, their files flagged under a new category invented by Luca, emotionally yeeted. Elias called it administrative karma. Celine just wrote, "Oops, smiley face," in big font over their last tactical map. Still, the Empire's core refused to yield. Bureaucracy can outlive war, plague, and logic. It digs in, hides behind paper, and declares itself immortal. So Reyna found the heart of it. The original doctrine of scanner law, stored deep within a vault orbiting Adrix 5. It was called the Motional Protocol Integrity Doctrine. It was 12,000 pages of dense legalese, definitions, footnotes, and exemptions stacked atop each other like a skyscraper made of wet socks. Reyna didn't hack it. She edited it. She rewrote the doctrine in plain human language. The opening line read, "If your machine can't tell a giggle from a grenade, the machine is a problem." And then she sent to every legal AI in the Empire's network, cleverly signed with the correct bureaucratic stamps, codes, and one extra line. Approved by Galactic Parent Authority, subsection 5, vengeance with cause. Every government AI accepted it as a live amendment. Within minutes, thousands of scanners recalibrated, weapons locked, doors opened, and somewhere in the central database, a compliance bot quietly wrote, "I think I just felt proud." Not all Imperials resisted. Some chose to adapt. The first to cross the line was Commander Yell, a 3-armed strategist who used to oversee cleansing protocols. He showed up at the edge of human space in a stolen Empire cruiser, waving a white flag made of synthetic laundry fibers. "I brought snacks," he said. Reyna didn't trust him. Not yet, so she sent him to Earth. Not as a prisoner, as a student. Yell enrolled in kindergarten. It wasn't punishment. It was education. He finger-painted. He learned not to interrupt. He apologized when he accidentally stepped on a turtle. He built a macaroni replica of the Empire's War Council and set on fire. His final report read, "Emotions are chaotic and beautiful. I now fear parents more than death. This is good." The galaxy started changing. No great war. No mass battle. Just pressure, consequence, memory, and one clear message echoing from every human voice. Never again. The phrase became law in 12 systems. But not everyone got the message. Frizik, yes, still alive, tried one last time. He staged a broadcast from a hidden moon, insisting the humans had fabricated the incident, that Yalara 7 had never happened. Celine hacked the broadcast midstream. The screen flickered. And then Juno's voice. Faint, crackling, real. "I made this picture for you. It's a dinosaur. It's called Hope." It wasn't a threat. It was a reminder. Frizik tried to speak. No sound came out. The moon's transmission ended with one frame. The drawing, crayon, a smiling, very inaccurate dinosaur with 6 arms and a heart above its head. A week later, Frizik was found sobbing in an escape pod. He requested asylum. They gave him a desk job in Earth's Department of Apology Processing. He now files letters from angry parents. Daily, back aboard the Disappointment, the crew sat in silence, orbiting the edge of old Empire space. Reyna was watching a live feed, a classroom on a newly liberated world. Children ran between trees, laughing, yelling, painting stars on the walls. "Looks peaceful," Luca said. "For now," she replied. "That's the point. Elias sipped coffee. They'll write songs about us. You know, dramatic, weepy ballads." Celine chuckled. "Please. They'll make us plush toys. I want mine to have sunglasses and a sword." Reyna finally allowed herself to smile. "I want mine to have a button that says, 'Where's my kid?' in 12 languages." Even Mr. Wiggles chimed in. "I would like merchandise royalties. Peace didn't come like a sunrise. It came like a hell breath finally exhaled. And still, the galaxy remembered. It remembered that humans didn't march into battle with numbers or fear. They came with grief. They came with fury. They came with the knowledge that love, real love, is terrifying when provoked. The final monument wasn't a statue or a weapon. It was a small garden on Yalara 7, where the crater had once been. 5 trees now grew there, each planted by a different parent. There was no plaque, just a stone etched with a child's handwriting. They didn't listen, so we made them. And below that, no mercy, only memory. Because humanity didn't win by conquering. They won by remembering. And making sure no one, not ever again, forgot.